How's it going, dude? You
It's
stroking?
going.
Good way?
Dude.
Bad way?
I mean, it's good. We're good. I just, I'm over here in deep thought. We did some things with our bank accounts differently, and I'm still kind of working through all the stuff.
Like a sweep account or what?
We were trying the whole profit first a long time ago, so I have all these individual accounts with a bunch of little money in them, and then I just got escrow accounts set up with our bank. So now I'm moving money to escrow accounts instead.
What's the benefit there?
Same thing as envelope, like the envelope style process. It's helping us allocate funds specifically for production and being able to look in the accounts and go, that's how much money should be in there. Or we don't have that money. Where are we taking it from? Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, everybody I've talked to, brought in, tried to report on, nobody can give me clarity on cash flow trajectory, and it's getting annoying. When I did, like in the case of larger deposits and slower cycle projects, and you know you're only going to need 20 jobs a year kind of thing, it's simple, right? Mm-hmm. But when you, I think in this case, have the need to be opening and closing 5 jobs a week, and of an average of 28 or $30,000, you really have to be able to see ahead of what you are moving with. Otherwise, if you want to try and figure out how you can afford to pull another van or another piece of equipment or another non-income producing payroll person, it's tough.
What's your variable, like percentage, like everything COGS, like variable above the line, and then fixed? Like 60-30-10 or like 60-20-20?
I don't know that I understand what you're asking.
So like, because that's kind of how I do mine to figure out kind of what's my money, and I do a super conservative. So here, I'll show you my screen. Here, you can start recording, David. This is gonna be great. You been recording? Yep. Welcome to AIS, motherfuckers. We're doing we are doing some shit. Okay, can you see this?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So let me put you in the corner because it's kind of weird. So like, I use this in 2 different ways, but there's like revenue, and this is all actual. So like that's Q1, right? And then Q2 is I do it 2 different ways. I have 2 different sheets. One is like this is what's in contract from to date rest of the year. So there's $4 million in contract as of April 1st, right? And then I can go in here and like gross profit. It's obviously really skewed. I had like a $2 million job. So it's like, that's why there's a 80% net profit. But like our fixed, like I can start forecasting for hires. Like I'm bringing on an ops manager in April. That's going to realize mostly in May. And then I'm going to, I can fudge around with my numbers quarter over quarter. But this here, like usually I'll run like a conservative, like GP, like 30% is the lowest we've ever aggregated. 35 to 40% is usually where we stabilize. And then I can start messing around with this. Like in May, I know I'm going to sell another 1.5 million and take probably about 30% of that. So this is probably going to be more like, 545,000. And then in June, I already have a really heavy month. I'm probably going to sell another million or so. So that could be close to 900K, more like February. Because Q2, Q3 is the busiest for us. But then I can kind of just like roll it out and see what my net margin is per month, my total net profit. And it's a good little just like calculator. I like it.
Yeah.
I mean, and then this in conjunction with a WIP, like a work in progress schedule. With our long job cycles, it makes a lot of sense. I could see how it would be like with 5 jobs closing a week, it could be a little difficult. But I do the same thing for the tile company.
Yeah, when you see it in our job trade, it's messy because there's so many moving pieces that have to report, and we're reporting. It's almost real time, but the money follows usually 2 weeks later in the books. So I can't report from QuickBooks.
And obviously, like 2024 data as well helps a lot. But like for me, like if I'm doing like a forecast, I can bank on like plus minus 600K a month coming in, which puts us just under our goal. I want to produce 8 and sell 12 this year. But but then you have your $1 million months, baby. They happen. Anyways, that's how we do it. We tried the profit first. My wife almost killed me with all the bank accounts. She hated it. She was like, because it's the taxes, profit, OPEX, and then variable.
Yeah, taxes, profit, payroll. You can go fixed, variable. It's right now all accumulating in one. And that's the harder part, is being able to have a better understanding for where each job is at in the process. Because I honestly couldn't tell you on some of these, hey, did we collect framing deposits yet? Or are we still operating off of the initial scheduling fee? And until we started using JobTread and creating, small notifiers in there or buttons we can click to once production gets through the schedule, we just had all of our schedule randomly disappear out of JobTread. So we're working on trying to get it fixed. Every job, all the 60 or so odd tasks that are incorporated in it.
Can you automate any of that? Like, can you automate your bills, POs, and invoice schedule? That way, like, it could all work against each other and, like, show you that velocity kind of forecasted.
Good. The problem, I think, in automation is that means that we actually have to do what we think we're going to do. When we were automating we were using Go High Level to provide production updates to our clients on the status of their project as we were working through permitting, planning, drafting, and the guys weren't toggling those to show that they were completed until, like, we'd already started the job, and then they'd go in there and toggle, and then the homeowner would get this Go High Level notification. Hey, good news, the guys have just completed your drafting for your production plans to get it off to permitting. And they're like, our deck's nearly done. What's going on? So stuff like that. Automation. I turned the schedule completely off. My homeowners don't see anything, like, as far as schedule, just because we're over educating. We're over transparent in some cases. I think you can over communicate, and it bites you in the ass because you look, sound, and seem like an extremely high value asset and character in the way you operate. But then one person drops the ball, and all of a sudden, that's the first thing the homeowner realizes. Oh, I thought you said you were going to show up at 8:01. And they bust you over it,
Yeah, I got a story for you. I have the clients are painful sometimes, but we were doing this job, 200 something thousand, kitchen, flooring, fireplace, and we finish on schedule, like, as far as, like, everything being functional. We had two main issues. One was the appliance installer completely botched the fridge install, and, like, it wasn't level. Like, the fridge still worked, obviously, but, like, it was all panel ready, face frame inset, like, has to be perfect. And they botched it. We had to fire them and, like, get a new one to just come adjust that fridge and replace hardware that the previous installer didn't install. And then their fireplace got so hot that it cracked the granite slab, cracked the whole face of the granite slab. And so then we're, like, going through the ringer to, like, find another slab and do this and do that. And, time goes by, and, time and Instagram and Pinterest change scope of work. And so they start, like, redesigning this fireplace. And this is, like, back in December, January. And fast forward to, like, last month, all of a sudden they're just, like, on my ass about, like, where are we at with this? What are we doing? What are we doing? And I'm like, we had a walk. We had the bid. Like, I didn't choose this contractor. You found the guy that you wanted to use. He's not getting back to me. I don't have necessarily the time to go babysit this subcontractor that I don't know and didn't select. And honestly, and they're still holding on to, our final payment, which is like 20-something thousand. It's like 10% of the total job, which is essentially our profit. And blows up yesterday, right? Like, I'm driving home. They're like, I thought you were the contractor. I thought you were going to do all this. I'm like, whoa. No. Like, we finished the job on time. Your fireplace cracked the slab. You changed the design 3 times. You went and found your own contractor, who then is ghosting me. I don't know this guy from Adam. And you're, like, pissed at me that you made all these changes. And, like, we could have fixed this in 2 weeks if we picked the same slab and the same design, and it would have been solved, right? But, like, one thing goes wrong. The whole job was flawless. Like, they tried to find things during construction to pick me apart. But, like, I kept my receipts. We met our schedule. I communicated every day. Like, we were, because we're on our shit, right? Like, any other contractor that maybe didn't have the systems or processes we had would have just succumbed to this terrible project, because they're like looking for something to, like, ask for money back on. They're just those types of people. Nice enough people, but, like, for whatever reason, business is business.
Those types of people, because, like,
yeah, I mean, really outside of a business relationship, I'm sure they're great, but they just want blood, and they want to, like, milk you and make your life kind of miserable while you're working with them. Some people get off on that,
right?
Huh?
Who hurt them?
I don't know, dude. Like, I just kind of have to laugh. Like, yesterday, I texted him back, like, just very vulnerably, like, why are you being so nasty to me? Like, what have I've been on your team this whole time, and, like, a lot of these things are out of my control. Any reasonable person can see these are out of my control. I can only call, text so many times. I can only send my superintendent to their fabrication shop and do what I can do, but like, there's no gun to their head. They don't know me. They don't owe me anything. And honestly, if I was a subcontractor coming into a situation like that, I'd have kind of a red flag, you know, like, I don't want a part of this mess. Like, this homeowner's pissed. I don't want my name on this, because what if it breaks again? And then I'm in this situation. Like, so I don't necessarily blame them 100% either. But yeah, some people, man, I don't get it, but some clients are just that way for whatever reason.
Well, there's a demographic that is slowly starting to get to an age where there won't be many more of them. And I think that helps in some case, but then you have social media, like you mentioned earlier, that's creating these, expectations, these visions, these ideas that people can just walk all over the contractor and change plans 100%.
And then, yeah. We have another project we just sold last week, and nice client, like very nice. But Instagram and Pinterest strike again. You know, like they have a $150,000 budget for their kitchen, which is totally doable, right? Like, we can do your kitchen for $150,000. But they're picking things that go in like $300,000 kitchens, like false back walls for the backsplash and the backsplash pockets behind the range, so the slab is movable and it's all backlit, and that's where their spice rack is and all this stuff. And I'm like, that's beautiful. But like, you're adding 10, 15 grand and a slab to this, and I'm already at 175. You know, so like, do you want a $200,000 kitchen? And you know, they concede, and we go back down to 150, and then we sign, and then they add back the things that they really wanted and desired. So now we're back at like 170, 175, which is totally fine. But it's just like I don't know. I think it's honestly a blessing for contractors, that instant gratification and that need for consumerism, because it really fuels us going, you know, like, people see a shiny thing on Instagram and they're already spending 150. What's 25,000 more, especially when they got it, you know? So
yeah,
that younger crowd's going to be an interesting demographic to sell to, because it's going to have to be us that has the reins, where I feel a lot of the boomer generation is a little bit more conservative. They'll spend the money where they see the value in return, you know, like quality of life things, roll-in showers, heated floors, like things like that. Mm-hmm. But I feel like this generation, like the 30 to 45-year-olds, that older millennial class, is very much, give me the bougie, you know, like, give me the lights, give me the underlit here, give me the motion sensor here, give me the smart home automation here. And they don't realize the price tag to do those things is, you know, more than just a standard kitchen. Because like, yeah, that's so frustrating. We can do a kitchen for like $70K, right? If we were just doing like a basic kitchen, not any like special species imported from Africa, and then we're going to custom stain it and do framed inset construction with all this fancy hardware. It's like, how about we just, like, if you just want a $70,000 kitchen, I can give you a $70,000 kitchen, but Instagram is going to tell you you're poor, you know, like. So it's like a keeping up with the Joneses on steroids.
It is. I don't see a lot of that very often, as much as I used to now. You know, at the end of the day, they're just looking for someone who will communicate and is professional and will show up. And even I'll tell you right now, the people that do have that sort of personality with us when they come to us and are inquiring about a extremely elaborate project, I don't shut down, but I go, here's the deal. We're not pricing this like a normal project. I build those in custom format, and it takes usually 2 to 3 months to come up with the plan, not because I can't execute it quicker, but it's because you're going to have a lot of questions, concerns after I show you all the options. And then when I share with you how we break things down as far as what it costs and how we manage and oversight on the project, you're gonna agree with the fact that this is too much. You're in over your head, and at the end of the day, if you're doing this for your home that you're gonna be in forever, perfect. But if you're doing this in your forever home, 10 homes away from here, nobody's gonna see the value in all this stuff that you're doing. You're not going to recoup cost or investment cost in exchange for this. So functionality is my all-time like conversation starter. How are we going to use this space? And at the end of the day, how frequently are you even going to use it?
Yeah.
Because if you want a fireplace on your porch that is a 65,000 BTU unit, and you want me to run a gas line that's going to cost you $9,000 to turn this thing on, and then you want it to be Bluetooth, you can touch it from your phone. But if you're a traveling sales guy and you're never home and you're expecting that this is going to make your life so much better, do yourself a favor and go book a $400 a night hotel room at the Omni and take a look at their fireplace and enjoy it.
Right. Soak it in. Yeah.
Book an a week long vacation to Cabo and enjoy their modern-esque amenities.
Yeah.
You don't need
love
that.
working for. I enjoy because I'm wearing a floral freaking shirt, right? Like I'm a little bougie myself, a little loud, and I love working for other CEOs on their homes, especially the visionary types. Like we're doing a project for a CEO out of Danville right now. He does like data communications and like some tech. He is like me in 30 years. Like the dude's probably in his mid 50s, early 60s. He wants the Bluetooth fireplace and he has the money to pay for it. He doesn't care how much that costs really. He wants the folding 12-foot sliding glass door, that basically the nano wall that opens to the backyard. And he doesn't really care, if it's a $25,000 door. And I'm like, dude, love it. Like his kitchen and like they have a bright red range, a red island, black and white countertops. Like they're just off the wall, like totally unique, open to different things. And they just want what they want. And I really appreciate that out of people because that's how I am too. Like, especially with like hobbies like golf, right? It's like, I want to golf every day. How can I make that possible? Well, there's an indoor golf simulator 3 minutes from my shop, $200 a month. I'm going to go every single day. Like that's so worth it to me. Like I want what I want. I want to go golfing every day. I'm going to go golfing at 3 a.m. every single day. And that's what I do every morning. It makes me happy. Like, I don't know. I think there's like some bliss in that, but that's also how you end up homeless. And that's the scary part. It's like that personality is like you're either a CEO and successful. It's like the joke I have with my wife. It's like, I'm going to be a billionaire or homeless in the next 20 years. And like, you're just along for the ride. Like, it's going to be a good time.
Yeah. We're all just borrowing all of this anyway. So, yeah. I mean, whether you're booking PJs to Cabo or golfing 3 a.m. every day or, ripping.
Hey, go down that mindset, dude, because that's important for people. Like this is like, I'm going to not say assimilation, right? Because it's not. Like we all have our mission on earth. And as a Christian, it's easy to have like that risk reduced because we have like a higher faith in something. Like this money's not mine. This time isn't mine. Like this life isn't mine. And so it really reduces the risk of making decisions that have, in other people's terms, maybe huge consequences or, impact. What are your thoughts on that? Like, what gets you going to where you're just like, yeah, we can do that?
Yeah, I think that, what you said, being a Christian and understanding what those resources are and being a good faith to what those resources can provide and how they function in society. And, let's not just completely be oblivious to the fact that when you're a self-employed business owner, your goals are, mostly aligned with trying to find some freedoms, whether it's financial or your time or, and there's a reason for that. And I think if you dig deeper into people who have a good mission and are good stewards of the resources that they've been provided, then, you see those types of leaders, their main thing isn't their business anymore. Their main thing is, if you get to know them a lot deeper, it's way beyond the Corvette or way beyond the private jet to Cabo. It's, hey, I spend 6 months out of the year in Haiti and I build kitchens and bathrooms for, communities that are spreading the faith and the good word. Or I've met a guy here. He used to do a lot of our gas line work, and that was his thing. For 2 months out of the year, he'd go to Haiti and do mission work. So whatever it is, I think. But as long as you're being a good steward of the money and you can feel good about what you're reciprocating back into society, I think it feels good. But there certainly are people that. I watch and see like clients that I've looked and seen into their lives. I've been in and around their homes as I'm working on them going, this is a lot of money to be spending on something that's not going to do absolutely anything for the enhancement of their family time. It's cool.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, when they and what's funny, and now I see and there are a few little pockets of town that over the last 10 years have transitioned significantly, where they were this is the area you want to live. This is the style of home you want to be living in. These are the amenities that you should expect in a home that's $2-3 million. And now that $3 million home, it's such a joke. It's out of date. Those people that live in them, they only live in them for 2 to 5 years because they've either taken a job transfer or, so I don't know. I think as long as you're a good steward of what the resources are.
Yeah, responsible. Define responsible, I guess.
Very true.
Yeah, I hear you. I'm turning more and more into like a die with zero type guy. Like, you can't take it with you type of thing. And what that legacy looks like after you're gone, whether that's a foundation, whether that is, like I said, missions trips and like building that conduit to be able to have future support to those communities. Because like my cousin is like straight from Guatemala. My cousin Jeremy met her on missions trips down there. I believe this is how the story goes. And Jeremy, if you're listening, I'm sorry if I'm butchering this, but her name's Myra. She moves here. They have a family. He goes back, and he's a contractor himself out of Sacramento and is always in that community helping. And like that's just so gratifying. And that work has such purpose that I feel money, just to have money or cool things, doesn't have any purpose, right? Like, sure, there's quality of life, but at some point, the return is so diminished on the next dollar you spend on yourself that it's not even worth it at that point. You might as well give it away or put it to use and put it in a vehicle for another community so that they're profitable and they can prosper. So I think that it's going to be interesting in the next 20, 30 years what good people like yourselves are going to be able to do, because you can make a lot of money. You can make a big change too with not even a whole lot of money, just community resources, networking. You can get a lot of stuff done. But speaking of people who are not very good, I have a story for you, Nate. I was looking at this. Producer Dave shot this over to me. Wage theft allegations in California.
You were looking at the same one I was looking at because...
Dude, it stuck out like a sore thumb.
There was two, actually. That one... Wage theft,
fraud?
first of all. Tell me about your situation there, because I would imagine it's pretty bad in California, right?
Well, so this is... It sounds like mostly on prevailing wage, publicly funded work. But here's the kind of quick one-banger. Owner and foreman of Towo Enterprises, Inc., Fullerton-based contracting company, facing felony charges for conspiracy and intent to evade taxes. Allegations stem from investigation revealing that the company underpaid workers on taxpayer-funded projects across multiple counties in California. Defendants have pleaded not guilty. And I dove into the article a little bit more, and it talks about just overall in like how many citations go out and how much workers have been shorted just in the 2020-21 fiscal year. And it was like almost $57 million was withheld from employees breaking the labor laws in public and private sector. And it's like 5 to 7 million annually in wage theft just on public work projects alone. And we do a lot of public work at our towel company, Hometown. And dude, the administrative back end you need to efficiently get paid in prevailing wage public work is such a pain in the butt. But it's also worth it because that's like our highest margin projects are the publicly funded prevailing wage projects. I could totally see how this happens, though. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, at that amount of fraud, allegedly, for the FBI here, allegedly, that has to be intentional. What are your thoughts on that headline?
We'll see how like you mentioned. I mean, it takes an army to be able to handle the administrative components of this. We'll see how well structured Towo Enterprises is, because that right there is where they're gonna find the issue. It's definitely not uncommon. I'm not shocked to hear that. This isn't Well, and especially now that everybody's starting to take the dojo approach, we're just analyzing all of our tax dollars go to things that don't actually give you anything.
Yeah, $500 million for like a dog park and random, like stupid stuff, dude. But what caught me in like one, proximity, being in California, and two, one of the felony charges that they're presenting is falsifying official documents. And I know the labor market pretty well here. Like we get approached all the time. And if you go to any Home Depot in California and you're in the parking lot, there's a certain demographic of people who may or may not be here legally looking for work, looking for cash jobs. And now on publicly funded projects, the documentation side of it is pretty intense. Like they have to be legal workers in the state of California, in the United States. And I could totally see a contractor asking some of his, buddies to go round up some friends. We have a big demo job happening. I'll pay them XYZ under the table, And then maybe someone didn't get paid, right? Or maybe someone felt like they were shorted and blew the whistle on it. And then that unraveled a whole chain of events for this dude. So California, that's scary, especially SoCal. There's a ton of illegal work down there. So I could see how like that could be sticky, but it sounds like this dude was pulling the trigger on all that and pocketing, especially on prevailing wage, tons of money under the table.
Well, I mean, it doesn't shock me. Crimes in construction are just it's always something like, oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
And you're like, wait a minute, you didn't know? Scraping $55 million off the top, you could afford to find somebody that could teach you what you should and shouldn't know.
Might be able to pay someone that knows to let you know what you can and can't do. But yeah, that was wild. There's a few other good ones in here too. I mean, the world of construction is just insane. And I do think it's because the bar to entry is so low. You know, like it's a test, right? And it's 4 years of work experience. It's nothing.
If that. I mean, if that. In our area, there's guys doing what we do that aren't licensed, that didn't take the test, that are still building and still, somehow finding out that they can charge more. And it's and they're not good stewards of their resources when they do find profits.
Yeah.
They're still robbing Peter to pay Paul. So I hear the stories of, well, these guys started, but they never finished. And, well, how'd you qualify them? Oh, they're not even a licensed, they don't even have a Google business page. Do they even have a home address?
Yeah. Which that's also the robbing Peter to pay Paul thing. We've been in a spot in the past where like that has happened. And
everybody has.
I think every contractor has been, especially starting out. And in California, it's extremely tough because you're cash flow negative. Like you're in the red off the start because you're the piggy bank for the client. Yeah, I can only charge $1,000 on a freaking $1 million contract as a deposit, and you have to buy and have proof of materials delivered in your shop before you can invoice for that material. And then even then, it's questionable if you can have your markup and margin because if you're not a reseller, there's another legal issue there. So it's like every turn you take as a contractor, it's super difficult to get ahead when you're starting. And at some point, once again, being a good steward, like understanding your numbers of, okay, this is my fixed expenditure per month. This is my historical above the line cost, or this is my estimated above the line cost when you're starting out. And if you're looking at that like 60-30-10, let's say for layman's terms, 60% above the line direct cost of the project, 30% in overhead expenditure, 10% is your money, right? Now, I view it as no money in my bank account in the corporate accounts is my money until December 31st. Because like your net profit is earned at the end of the year, not on a job per job basis, because shit can go upside down next month. And that whole Q1 net profit you guys saw, if you're watching on YouTube, it was like $800,000 in net profit in Q1 for just KHB. That's not counting KHB Flooring, Moonbound, or Hometown Stone. Like we had a very successful Q1, but that easily could go away in 10 months, right? That's like 10 months of operating costs. Gone. And then if you're not charging appropriately, or if you have a bad hire, if you get, you have some issues on projects and your variable costs increase to 70%, and then you're 30, and then now you're losing 10% of that total revenue mark, plus your operating costs of 30%. So now you're out, another, let's say $110,000 a month on top. So it gets dangerous quick. And so I always view it like, not my money. Let's be good stewards. Sure, like let's have the company Q2 party. Let's get, nice polos for the team. Like let's do those like business budgets that we already have built that's accounted for in that overhead. But we're not going to be taking, private jets to Cabo for the team just because we had a good Q1, right? Like let's get to December 31st, right? And then next year, use those retained earnings strategically for, employee experience and really try to retain that top talent and have some fun and, get the new work truck and get the new trailer and all that good stuff. But it's not your money.
It is not. There's so many people that don't understand that and won't look at it from a 12-month perspective. They'll look at it from a quarterly and go, man, that was a great quarter. I'm going to do this, this, and this. And it's like, hold on a second here.
Yep. Well, they haven't been bent over yet. They will. They'll learn, because they're going to get hit. They'll get into a spot. And that's what, when I was, first year in business, younger, when you make $100K net in a quarter, and you look at the bank account, and it's the most you ever seen in your life, it's tough not to get those dollar signs in your eyes. Like, I'm going to go get this. I'm going to go do that. I'm going to go hire an army. And we did that. In 21, we hired a legitimate army. Like, I had more employees in the field in 2021 with half the work than I do right now. Probably more staff then than I do now, just because we're so much more efficient now. because we sold all these jobs and we're like, how are we going to produce it as fast as possible? We got to shove this revenue through our overhead funnel. We got to get this done. We got to make some money. We got to do this. And you know what? We completed all the work and then we had none left because we weren't responsible. We didn't have any project management forecasting. We didn't have any gross profit velocity equations to kind of like hedge that work over this quarter, next quarter. We just did it all. We hired it and we produced it all. And it was great. But then we had to lay off like 8 people. And it was like gross. It like turns your stomach, you know.
People think that they get this impression that scaling, and this is the biggest thing I've been reading more about lately in the contracting trades. Everybody's got their social media blasting to them that they need to scale their business or look for a merger acquisition or a buyout. Or no, simplify it, make it very profitable, and do that for 10 years. You don't need 100 employees. You don't need all this equipment. If you've done it well, the right way as $1 million organization, yes, you can still do it with the same structure, the same people, the same process. They just have to be 18 players as a $10 million organization. And yeah, your net profits may be a little less, but you can still do it. You're not going to net 20% at 20, 30 million. It's different at that point, because then at that point you're feeding a massive fire that's costing you a lot of money to operate.
Well, it costs a lot of money to grow. And I've found that out the hard way a few times, where it's like it's not necessarily a hockey stick, but it's like an S wave. You know, like you'll start here, you'll make some money, you have enough capital to reinvest into positions, fill the seats, put the hats on the right people and let them do their job. And then that costs money. And then you're down here, and then you need systems and trucks and all the overhead that comes with employees. And then you have another breakthrough, and you're at another level, and you kind of plateau, and then you have to build a middle management team, and then you lose a little bit more. And I've found that being able to price for where you're going to be, not where you're at, is one of the most important skills you can have. And oftentimes, it seems counterintuitive, but we've actually gotten cheaper to make more money, if that makes sense. Yeah. Because if I'm at a 4-job scale with an average job size of $1,000, that's $400K I could produce over, let's say, a 6-week job cycle. Well, there's only so many workable weeks in the year. So like, what's my ceiling, right? And now if I need to go to 6 jobs at that $100K, what does that look like hedged across? So I need to allocate my overhead and split it across those projects appropriately to not have as much market resistance. And then I need to be able to produce all of that in the same amount of time or faster, or I need to increase my average job size. It's one or the other, right? We need to do this more efficiently and like productize our installation and our services. Or if we're going to go true custom, we need to be able to charge a premium, which means I need A players. I need to train very well. But it's really one or the two. It's one of those levers that has to give. I look at my pricing almost monthly, I would say, for, okay, where are we at? Are we plus, minus on the baseline? Where's our gross profit trending, estimated versus actual? And just have a pulse on that. And if I see anything in the market like, wow, we're down 20 leads year over year, we're down on our conversion rate and our sales rate by 5%, and we're +2 on our baseline schedule on all of our custom projects, we need more work. Like, we have an issue, and we also have an efficiency issue. So where's the problem, right? You can start drilling down into the problem. Like, maybe we're charging as if we're on a 4-job format, but we're running 8. And we're spread too thin, so we're missing deadline schedules, but we're making a lot of money, but we're burning that in marketing because we're not selling and converting because our timeline's too long.
Yes.
There's a lot of things.
I hear that probably as one of the biggest. When I start listening to contractors complain about where they're at and what they're not happy about, they're selling, they're producing the work, their top line revenue is hitting the pace indicators that they're anticipating, but they're not putting enough jobs in the queue. They're slow rolling the production process, and they're still applying their overhead to fewer and fewer jobs. It's like, and that's when you've got to light the fire under your production process, open up 3 more jobs at the same time frame, cash flow the shit out of those projects, and see how quickly you can then go move what was going to be a 3-month out project to, hey, can we start that next week? And if you can chew up what you used to do in 6 months in half the time, or even a month, that's where you'll immediately see that the speed of money and the velocity of it works in your favor.
Well, it's production over production capacity, right? Mm-hmm. Like, capacity is usually inherently the issue. Now, production is going to become the issue due to just the market, like the labor market, skilled market, It's tough. Tradesmen are retiring, getting out of the trades, and there's not enough coming back in to really shore up production. And that's going to affect capacity as well, lagging. But I've always found, like, if you can run 4 jobs effectively, you should be charging as if you're running, well, if you can run 6 jobs effectively, you should be charging as if you can run 4. Right? So hedge your overhead over 4 projects, like a 4-job basis, but you're running 6, you're in the money, right? And it's like a very simple way to do it. Like, look at your production schedule over the past 12, 18 months. How many jobs on average are you running? Great. Now, remove 1 to 2 of those and allocate your overhead as if you're running that many jobs, and then you're in the black. Like, that's a safe way. Like, if you're running 4 jobs, charge as if you're running 3. That last job you do, that 4th job that month, is in the black, okay? Like, very easy to do it. And then you can start drilling down into, like, the efficiencies of, like, okay, well, we're doing 4. We're charging as if we're doing 3. So we have a 25%, just in the black. How do I do 5? Right? What does that look like? What does that org chart look like? How do I do 6? How do I do 16? How do I do 60? Right? And then I always build the processes with the end in mind, So, like, this process should be able to accommodate 5 salespeople or 50 salespeople. It doesn't matter. The reporting's the same. Everything's standardized. This process for my superintendent or project manager should work when I have 3 project managers or 30 project managers. It's the same, right? Like, build it for scale. And that's going to be the quickest way to, 1, buy whatever freedom you want. Time, money, lifestyle, whatever you want, because that business is going to run. If you're building it with scale in mind, with the end in mind, there's not much. And then you get to do what you want to do. Like, I still love doing sales. I'm still doing sales. I love sales. I love networking. Love selling stuff. But now, like, my threshold for, like, getting my thrill is a little bit higher. Like, if it's not $500,000 or more, I don't really get excited anymore. And, like, that's kind of scary. Like, I'm going to have to be selling, $3 to $5 million homes in the next 10 years, or, like, it's going to get boring. It's like the number isn't big enough to, like, get me, yeah, let's go, let's sell it, But that's the fun part, though, is I think scaling is, like, it is a buzzword. I don't think it's for everyone. I don't think it's the key to happiness is scale. It's actually probably the opposite. It'll make you a little bit crazy in some ways. But depending on your end goal, like, you can be just as successful as a 3-man operation or even a 1-man operation, paper pushing and subcontracting, and you're just working on one end of that project, that design and pre-con or ops or whatever that looks like. It's just knowing yourself.
I think the bigger piece of that affects it for a lot of contractors that have gotten their mind around the idea of trying to step out of the production process and hang up the tool bag and start to run their business as the leader they should be. The thing they're facing right now is the labor. Which is, quite frankly, it's not shocking that, I just got back from Florida. I was at a wedding, and I have 3 nephews, and one of them's been chasing, he's a freaking 4.2 GPA. He's, like, crushing it in high school, and he wants to go to welding school. He wants to learn a trade. He's at vocational and doesn't have any interest in, he'll probably go to college just to check the box, but I don't see him focusing on that as a end goal. The other nephew is drilling me at the kitchen table at 8 o'clock in the morning. Like, what should I study? Should I study business, or should I just go straight to, construction science and get a degree, like, in project managing, and then go, like, start my business? Because at the end of the day, I want to be a contractor like you. And I'm like, well, why?
Do you?
Why? Right? Like, what are you trying to accomplish? And that's the thing is, like, I think that in our, like, current, in that demographic, or in that era of kids coming up in the world of wanting to work and, find a career that fits in a path that fulfills them, they're so lost with how it's not what it used to be. A lot of people don't go to college anymore. Hell, I didn't graduate with my first bachelor's degree until I was, like, 36. And then after that went for another one, and then went for 2 associates. And it's like, I think the only reason I continued to go is because I knew that if I didn't graduate immediately and hurry and finish, then I could defer all the payments on it. But
yeah, well, my thing with business, especially like contracting specific, is you either have to be a craftsman or a businessman, right? And businessmen, throw in the adjacent for entrepreneur, right? And both of those things are a very, very, very small niche of the population. Like a true craftsman, because you can learn how to hang some drywall and kind of tape and texture and start a drywall company, but you're doing more of a disservice to the industry than you are as a service, right? You're not raising the bar. Like, the freaking podcast is called Above Industry Standard. You know what I mean? Like, because we try to be our best. And you're like 1% of the population that can fit into that mold of being an entrepreneur. And like me, like I was an okay remodeler. I was an okay carpenter. I was not a craftsman by any means of the definition, right? But like I am inherently an entrepreneur. And I'm not sure if that's like a nature versus nurture thing, but the hot thing right now is all of these people that are in the high school or college, like they want to be entrepreneurs, and I don't think they know what they're signing up for at all. And I don't think that the DNA it takes to be an entrepreneur is this inherent thing that everyone has and can just go start their own business and be successful. A lot of people are meant to work for a company, and that's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with that. A lot of people are meant to be an entrepreneur. They don't have the risk tolerance to go be an entrepreneur. So I don't know. I see like it could be just as detrimental as going and taking out $100,000 plus in student loans on a social science degree that you're never going to use. If taking out business loans to go start a company that you're not meant or crafted to perform in. So it's still scary, but everyone sees the Instagram reel of the guy driving the Bugatti, and they don't see the 20 years it took to get that Bugatti, right? They don't see the literal sleeping on the floor type of mentality it took to get there. And most people just want, once again, that consumerism. They want that instant gratification. They want what they want now. And if they did it, anyone can do it. And that's just not the case. Not to glorify ourselves or anything, like, because we haven't reached the finish line either. We can all go fucking bankrupt in a week. That's like I said, anything can happen, especially in contracting. This is business on hard mode. We're not selling a SaaS product here. Like, we're dealing with large sums of money in an intimate environment where a lot of things can go wrong very quick. I could have a crane drop a truss and kill a guy tomorrow. I'm out of business. You know what I mean? Like, it's just how it works.
Yeah, and that's definitely the risk versus reward part of it. But I mean, I think if you're career minded to be an entrepreneur, there's such a place and a desire and a need for that specific person too, and that's
write your own check.
Normally, when I'm talking to the lost sophomore, junior in high school and hearing more about what specifically it is that they enjoy doing, I'm like, well, I mean, you don't have to have an answer. You don't have to have a clear defined end goal at this point in life. But what you do have to try and start to wrap your head around is you need to put yourself into a position to grow. You need to be willing to take, the time to want to educate yourself on what options do look like. And for me, we talked about at one point where, I have a crap load of history just working in a ton of different jobs. And each one of those taught me something differently about what I didn't want to be doing in life, which helped narrow down the things that I knew that I really did enjoy and did want to do. And so, I did not want to work third shift after doing it for 6 years. I did not want to get an hourly pay check. I did not want to worry about how my vacation was limited to 4 weeks out of the year. I did not want to worry about. And so those things helped eliminate a lot for me. But I think for the sake of finding purpose in, a role, whether you're looking for a career in construction or project management, you just need to go work that position and see how you fit and work your way into an organization that's willing to kind of identify where your strengths and weaknesses are and find a good spot. And that's usually most small businesses right now struggle to find people that just have ambition and drive. And if you're just going to show up with ambition and drive on your resume, you can have any position in my company, and especially if you're coachable.
Yeah, 100%.
Because I can give you the resources you're going to need, and I'll help in any way I can to make sure you're elevated to the next opportunity. That's what all entrepreneurs want to see is someone like that falling in the wake. No, you don't have to be the president of the company someday unless you want to. Maybe you find out you do want to be, right?
Yeah, here's the roadmap to get there. Yeah, here's the skills you need. And I like that everything you've done showed you what you did not want to do. I think there's a huge value in that too. Just getting out there, trying to acquire skills, getting in uncomfortable situations, and then saying, that wasn't for me. Wasn't my cup of tea. Not a fan. I think there's a huge value in that. Now, we're actually hiring our first outside-in, top-down position, which essentially is our ops manager to run both locations, KHB in the Bay and the Valley. And it's been very eye-opening because I'm interviewing, pretty much everyone interviewing has an MBA, they're in their mid-40s, early 50s. They have the, on-paper experience. And, here I am, 31. dropped out of community college, and like that's one of my questions. Like, do you have a problem with that? Right? Like, are you going to be able to be coachable with me because I operate differently, and I'll be coachable with you. I'm an open mind, and I trust like that you're going to have full autonomy in this position and agency to make decisions. So I believe me, I need you to be smarter than me on paper and in real life. But just because you're intelligent doesn't mean you're smart. So tell me a situation when you were smart. You were in a problem. You had a smart way to get out of it. Like, because once again, man, it's so tough to find people that just have a drive. Like just have that motor to win. They just won't stop. Like, I'm not the most intelligent person. I'm pretty smart, I feel like. Both of those things don't matter because I just won't stop. Like, I'll play the game for 50 years. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, I'm not here for a five-year sprint. Like, I will not stop. And if I go bankrupt tomorrow, I will start again, and I will not stop. If I go bankrupt again, I will start again, and I will not stop. Like, it doesn't matter. You can't lose if you don't quit. And that's the beautiful thing about, like, business, I feel like, is whether you're a craftsman or a businessman, you can hire the other one, right? Like, I can go hire someone with an MBA and 20 years experience, and they can write their own check because they bring that much value, and they fill a huge hole that I necessarily don't have. And you just don't quit. You just keep going. I don't know. It's just like the risk of business ownership. And I think that's why, people like us are wired a little bit differently, is like, we don't view money as real. Like, it's infinite.
You know why you rarely ever hear the craftsman though interested in interviewing and hiring the businessmen?
Why?
Think about it. That is where most contractors fall short. They think too highly of themselves. They won't. I mean, their quality of work is just the most impeccable thing that
no one can do it like I can.
Nobody can do. Yeah. And so there is zero interest in trying to find someone smarter than them, and it's because of that they'll never get past a milestone to free themselves in any financial way. And it's tough unless they're selling widgets and it's like they do 2 a year and those are $1 billion a piece and they've got that demand. But I think it's interesting just to point that out. But I mean,
but if a craftsman did hire the businessman, did hire that entrepreneur, that CEO, that president, that director of operations, whatever it may be, and he just stayed doing his craftsman thing, he would blow up.
Yep, blow up. I have a friend here that I still wish someday he would let me just help him. But I mean, what he does and how he does it is just super cool. He's the type of guy that when he comes up with something and creates it, nobody has one. Nobody even thought it would be a thing. But now all of a sudden that he's produced it and made it, it's like, this is awesome. And he's patented so many little things he's done, but he won't get out of his own way and let a business be developed in and around him.
That was like the first guy I approached to be my partner when starting KHB was a coworker of mine. And he's similar. He's like, if you've ever watched, well, this is one of his favorite channels. And we're still friends to this day, even though we didn't end up partnering with each other. Probably for the best, because I'm a terrible business partner. But was like Modern Craftsman. That old dude that builds custom homes and videos the whole thing. And he's like basically like this generation's Larry Hahn. Mm-hmm. Super cool dude. He's like just like my buddy who I approached because I realized like, okay, he has a better skill set than I do. He's better at his craft, right? Like he could put some shit together. And I feel confident that I could figure out the rest. That would be a great part, a little yin and yang duo there, like you knock out the ops and quality of work, client experience. I'll hammer the sales, marketing, and like overarching operations, and let's go take over the world. It didn't end up working out, but I do think like partnership is huge. And like a craftsman that can, because either way you're writing your own check, right? Whether you're a craftsman, you could charge whatever the hell you want for whatever you're making. It's whatever the value you put on it. As a businessman, same thing. You set your price, right? You want to take home $2,000 a year? Work it into the overhead. Figure out what you got to charge. Figure out what scale you need to be at to take home $250,000 a year. It's just like replacing the other side. And I feel like I'm super proud of KHB because we have incredible craftsmen in the field, like the best crew I've ever seen operate with bags on. And they're also really good people. They're not a bunch of like typical grouchy construction workers who are spitting loogies on the floor and, cussing at each other all day. Like they're good people too. And so we kind of have the yin and yang, but we had to build it. I had to go hire the craftsmen, and I don't know if business owners could put those two things together, because that's the other tough part about construction is every position is the most important position. Like the people that are in the house every single day talking with the client, putting the project together, installer side of it is the most important position. If you don't have that, you don't have a company. Sales is the most important position. You don't have salespeople, you're not closing jobs, you have nothing for them to produce, right? And then finance If you don't know where you're going, you don't know where you've been, how are you going to get to the goal? Like, you need to know your numbers. You need to have like finance. You need to have operations. You need to have marketing. Like, every position is the most important in construction. It's not like, once again, I keep bagging on these tech bros, but it's not like a SaaS product where you build it, it's evergreen, and it's just MRR, baby. You just keep selling on repeat. Your sales force is 150 people in a call center, booking appointments, and you have like some nerdy engineer, shoring up any patches in the code, and that's all that's happening. Like, that's the business. It's not how that works. Construction is like, it's freaking business on hard mode. It's beautiful though. It's fun, but it's a tough one.
Well, niching. I think that's
the riches and the niches. You deck people. You and
Niching.
Lawan. You guys are smart though. You guys are killing it in the deck game.
I just know that there are fewer people that desire complex, extremely high end. I can serve more clients on the, hey, I just need a deck, man. And when we get the phones going, the majority of people that do reach out, they don't know what they want. They're asking for me to educate them. And if I educate them on the fact that a lumber deck's the way to go, that's what they're buying that month. And that's what's interesting about our role as contractors is, sales is obviously an extremely important part of it, and in offering something that they, solving their issue or problem. But when really all we're required of is to go out there and just educate and let them make the proper decision, it turns into a simple process. I mean, then it's a numbers game. You literally just put your money in the ad spend machine, pull the lever, answer the phone. That's the number one.
Yeah, you got to answer the phone. That's true.
Schedule the appointment, run the appointments. I've got a new guy starting on Monday that I told you of last week that I interviewed.
The guy from California?
California, dude's awesome. I'm so excited about him. I think he's going to crush it. I know he's going to crush it. He's already doing very well for himself on his own without me. And that's the best part about, like, when I get a hold of someone like them, I have the resources to take them from, the lifestyle and the place they're in to be able to give them from some freedoms and, and be able to do, in his case, he's got a son that's here. And I think that he's trying to retire. So hopefully he'll get the idea that this is a place that he can obviously be and produce an income within. I'm gonna show him one that he won't want to retire.
Yeah. What are you hiring for? What position?
So he'll run in sales. I mean, our deck consultants are basically coming in commission based. Some are based off of experience. So if they've got some experience, commissions are a little differently, but he'll run 2 to 5 appointments a day, and he'll have himself an opportunity to educate homeowners on porches, patios, and decks. And, I've got a guy right now that's been with me for a very short period of time. He's doing really well.
How much should a salesperson make in your company?
How much should a salesperson make? If I was to have paid myself on the commissions from the decks I sold when I first started, so my first year did just under $3 million, and I was kind of just breaking it down, but what we're paying, it's about 150 to 200K. So you get a couple of big projects in there too, kind of helps the design builds. This past week was a good situation. We're closing on a pretty large one that I developed for them. And that's one where I can do one of two things. I can collect the commission myself, or I can tee it up to where I've got one of these new guys, bring him in, split the commission, let him run the customer experience so that I can step out, move off onto other priorities. And not that I'm leaving the homeowner high and dry, but they're going to get more touch points from a new guy that's,
It's the best way to train, live fire.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love training by fire. I've been told I'm pretty good at that here in the office.
That's good. Anyone giving you any looks right now in that office?
Well, the good thing is we put divider walls up in between each one of these cubes that are 5 feet tall. So you have to smell them, but you can't see them. But they're all laughing right now, I can tell.
That's funny. Well, dude, I got to button up for the day, but as always, great talking with you.
Yeah, for sure, man.
You're out of town, right? Coming up? I got to get some guests on here.
Yeah, we need to work through some guests.
I got one.
A few ideas here. I have a former client that wants to be on here. He wants to talk tech and above industry tech in the business world.
Bring him on.
But,
I have one too. I went on Carolyn Chrome's podcast, How Not to Get Screwed. She's a construction attorney. That was fun. It was good.
She wrote our contract.
Does she do your contracts?
Yeah. It's been a couple of years since she's revised it, but yeah.
Yeah. So we'll probably have her on, and then I got a few other thinking like mindset type guys I might reach out to. Be good.
Heck yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Sounds good, man. Well, good to hear from you, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Okay. Well, that does it for this episode of AIS. Like, share, follow, subscribe, give it to your friend that's a contractor, and we'll see you on the next one.